Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. It is a very special episode. DJ, first off, happy Diwali. What a great day to be recording. What a great day to finish the group stage of the World Cup. Happy Diwali. How are you doing?
Happy Diwali, man. India's given us a pretty great gift. 9-0, undefeated. What more can one ask on the greatest league stage performance by the Indian team so far?
Absolutely right. 9 out of 9. Just a great day. And, this is the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. We're live on YouTube right now. So if you're joining us, send us in a comment, a message. I imagine the combination of the last group stage game and the evening of Diwali will be a little lighter on our live listeners. But DJ, you and I still get to wrap up the final week of group stage cricket. First off, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow morning. Monday morning, for the first time in 6 weeks, there's not going to be a 50-over game. So I don't know what I'm going to do with my time. Are you prepared for the fact that there's only 3 games left and then the World Cup's over?
I guess so. I know what I'm going to be doing till Wednesday, which is basically fretting about India and New Zealand because it gives enough time for the tension to build, right? And fair enough. I mean, it's only 2 days, actually. It's only Monday, Tuesday, right? And Wednesday, we're back on. So if I were you, given where you are, I would get some sleep because I'm pretty sure your sleep cycle has been pretty disrupted over the last few weeks.
Yeah, actually, I have to now prep for the fact that Wednesday, Thursday will be 2:30, 3:30 a.m. starts, and then Sunday, 2:30 in the morning is the final. So now, if I was younger, I would just pull an all-nighter. I now need to think about, at my age, think about sleeping by 8:30, 9 o'clock, getting 6 hours of sleep before I wake up Sunday morning at 2:30. But the reason we are here, DJ, the semifinals have been set. I mean, we'll talk through the predictions and where we want to go from here, but ultimately, India, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand in that order, which means India plays New Zealand Wednesday at the Wankhede in Mumbai. Australia plays South Africa Thursday at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata. Not hugely surprising, a little bit anticlimactic kind of for the last week or so, right? I mean, ultimately, and we will talk about this, we needed an Afghanistan win over Australia. We needed, I think, New Zealand I think Sri Lanka, I guess, needed to show up against New Zealand, and none of those really happened. So we've sort of known the semifinalists for a while, other than for the garbage of Pakistan saying we have to win by 287 runs or chase down a total in 2.4 overs, something silly, right? But a little bit anticlimactic going to the semis.
A little bit, but what is interesting is, I mean, I've got 2 out of my 4 predictions right.
The least of all 3 of us. Yeah, and to be clear, all of us missed England. The whole world missed England, right? Everybody predicted England in the semi, so we were all wrong there.
Yeah, but I had England and Pakistan, so I got the Pakistan prediction wrong.
Yeah.
You guys only got the England prediction wrong. Sorry, you got the.
Yeah, I only got the England one wrong.
You got the Australia prediction wrong.
Well, yeah. But I got 3. I had India, I had South Africa, I had New Zealand.
Yeah.
Varun had India, Australia, and New Zealand, I think. Yep. And you just had India and South Africa, and then you had England, Pakistan. So 3 out of 4 for me, 3 out of 4 for Varun, 2 for you. So you're already trailing a little. Let's also then talk about the status of our what I still think of as orange cap and purple cap winners, but really is both highest runs, highest wickets. So for highest runs, you had Virat Kohli, and you are currently doing pretty well. Hold on, I had Rohit Sharma, and I'm 1 innings off. So in the next, hopefully 2 games India plays, that could happen. And Varun had Shubman Gill.
But you know how this is going to end, right?
They're both going to be batting or something?
They're going to be batting in the final, and then
they're
going to be together, chasing down the total.
Dude,
and then they're going to be both stranded at one end, and then Rohit is going to walk off saying, "Ja, dikha de us londe ko."
There you go. That's it.
The Chuck Day moment.
For me, dude, I couldn't care less about purple caps and orange caps if Virat and Rohit are batting in the final to win us the trophy. I couldn't care less about any predictions or anything else. That would be a dream moment. But just to round that out, Varun's prediction for highest runs was Shubman Gill. So we all went with India. We all went with top 3. Shubman has had a decent tournament, but not.
But he didn't play a lot at the start. He missed a few games, right?
Yeah. Dengue, which is bad luck. On bowlers, I had Shaheen, who's not done badly. Let's give him credit by the end of it. He's 3rd on the wicket takers list. He'll probably drop a little because he doesn't play anymore. So with 18. Varun had Sam Curran first, who I can't even find. I have to scroll. I can't find if he picked any wickets. And then when I told him that was a bad guess, he went with Kuldeep, who's picked up 12 wickets in 15th spot, but something magical would have to happen for him to actually win. And then you had Trent Bolt, who is right up there with Kuldeep in 14th on the current wicket taker, 13 wickets so far. So again, something magical would happen. I could safely say probably nobody predicted, and if you did in the comments, let us know. But nobody predicted Adam Zampa right at the top and Dilshan Madhushanka at second place of the wicket takers, right? So that's what's been a little bit of a wild card. Yeah. So DJ, let's talk about the semi-finalists. India versus New Zealand. You can't help but New Zealand sits here having lost to India already, lost to South Africa, lost to Australia, and yet you can't sit here and shake that feeling that there's something about an India-New Zealand semi-final that makes you nervous, right?
It does, right? But it's funny. This is the second time in a row that they've sort of scraped through to the semi-finals. But then you start from scratch, and that's the nature of knockout cricket.
Yeah,
You win one.
yeah.
India finished, and I said it was India's best ever league performance. We did finish on the top of the table in 2019 as well, but we lost a game to England.
Yeah.
Here we've blanked everyone 9-0. But you start the game at the Wankhede from square one, and anything can happen in knockout cricket. They say that about New Zealand, like they're a great tournament team, and that's why both you and I had them in our lineup, right? But it's it's a little bit odd that they've lost to all the other semi-finalists, and then they've beaten all the I guess smaller teams, and then that puts them through to the semi-finals. And who knows? They could have I mean, God forbid they have a third consecutive final, right? Because they may. Who knows?
Yeah, listen, I
I
think
suspect.
we can debate the format, and I was laughing in the middle because we're getting a comment in from somebody who's come in with the name Babar, basically saying, "DJ bhai, main ghar nahi jana chahta, hum bahut gaaliyan padne wali hai," which for those who are not Hindi speakers is somebody claiming to be Babar who doesn't want to go home because they're going to get abused by his fans. But let me ask you the question on the format, right? Is it fair? Unfair is a big term because we all knew, every team knows what they signed up for. But to win 9 out of 9, and then I don't want to say it, but India could theoretically have 45 minutes of bad cricket and only has one shot at the final or going home. And the IPL sort of recognized it and said, listen, after a long season, you get rewarded for being top two, where you get a second attempt to make the final. Any thoughts on kind of that idea, either a best of 3 game series, or is that the magic of World Cups, that you need a semi-final, which is when
you need knockouts, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the whole point of that is the magic of the World Cup. I mean, the West Indies in 1983 weren't saying we should have a best of 3 final, right?
Yeah.
You took the win and you moved on.
No, absolutely.
Had a magical day on the day, and that's it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's
not
from
a league.
Yeah,
it's not a league.
Yeah,
It's not a league. It's a trophy with a league stage plus a knockout stage. So
Yeah.
similar to the Champions League, which also has a similar format. You might have come through the league stage, but I mean, it's a nonsense to try and say that you've done well in the league stage. You've got to turn up.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so let's talk. There was a lot happened this week. I will talk to you about India's final game against the Netherlands and some of the fun that happened in the second innings as India was bowling right there. But the big match this week. So on Tuesday, going into the game, Afghanistan was still very much alive at a shot in the semifinals. It would have taken a couple, their last 2 games were against Australia and South Africa, and it would have taken unlikely results. But gosh, DJ, Afghanistan batted first, made 291. And as you and Varun talked about last week, Afghanistan's batting has truly been the revelation in this tournament, right? We knew they were a good bowling side. We knew they were. But Ibrahim Zadran made an unbeaten century, carried his bat, right? Batted all through the 50 overs. And they made 291 against Australia, which is a decent total, but, not a slam dunk by any means. And then the scoreboard went 4 for 1. Okay, it's fine. Then they started batting pretty well. 43 for 2. 49 for 3, 49 for 4, 69 for 5, 87 for 6, 91 for 7. Chasing 292 to be 91 for 7 in just 18 odd overs. What is going through your mind at that point?
I thought Australia were dead in bed.
I mean, it's done, right? It's done.
I work in an Anglo-Australian firm, and I went and spoke to some of the Aussies going, what are you guys doing? Why are you following the English?
Oh, my goodness.
Basically.
Yeah.
But, okay, we'll come to the innings, and I say the innings because we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Oh, do it. This is it.
Afghanistan didn't help themselves.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it's a great knock, and we will talk about all the hitting, but you cannot drop like some catches. Like in India, we call them lallu catches.
Yeah.
Like
Sitters.
there were sitters, like
Hmm.
like the one Mujib put down. Like honestly, it was that was the end, right? Like, and yes, it was a great knock, and we should never take away from that. I don't want to sound negative about it because
Yeah.
it was played through pain, adversity. You had mounting run rate, you had 91 for 7, all of that stuff, but it should never have really come
Yeah.
to that, and Afghanistan only have themselves to blame. But like all great knocks, you have your share of luck. Ben Stokes Headingley,
Yeah. Oh,
how much luck did
absolutely.
he have?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can't help. It's not your fault if the other team drops. You don't lose
Yeah,
any credit for you play the cards you dealt, right? And
and you capitalize on it.
yeah,
And credit to Maxi, bloody hell,
the
after falling
big
off a
show.
golf cart.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? He missed a game because he fell off a golf cart. All sorts of jokes flying around about the stupidity of choosing to do that during a World Cup. And yeah, I mean, just unbelievable, right? There's just I was listening, so I couldn't watch because it was work day, but I still chose to listen. I was listening to our friends at Gorilla Cricket who do live commentary. Shout out to them. And at one point when they were 91 for 7, basically they were saying what you and I were saying was it's a done deal. And I don't remember which commentator it was, but somebody made the point of saying it's definitely not going to happen. But the only way Australia gets home is from a freak Maxi innings, a freak sort of Maxwell innings, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, to make 201 runs. I mean, I was talking to somebody a colleague of mine who wasn't watching the match, and he said I was hearing through like group texts and this and that Maxwell was batting on one leg, and I said actually he was batting on basically zero legs. There was no legs after a point. He fell over at that one point. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes about this innings, but he fell over at one point after completing a run. DJ, you've grown up playing cricket at pretty high levels.
No, not that high.
I mean, much higher than me. I could play in the gully maybe with a tape ball, but you've played reasonably competitive cricket. What are the manuals going to be saying about Maxwell standing, no foot movement, and just swinging the upper body and just the arms moving? How great was that?
I mean, it's how you play golf, right?
Yeah,
It's exactly how you play golf
yeah.
because it's only the upper body rotation that
So
you do.
maybe being
Your
at the golf course
legs
and
don't move.
falling off the golf cart was the
Gave him
reason
an
he could
idea.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah, no, but honestly, like I watched that innings and I was just like, this has thrown the coaching manual out of the window,
Mhm.
and it's just hands. And there are a few things that played into that. One, you're playing at the Wankhede, small boundaries, right? You could not have done that perhaps at Eden or Ahmedabad or Lucknow or Pune, one of those big playing surfaces.
Yeah,
There's no way you could have done that. Secondly, I know, yes, there was some criticism why were Afghanistan feeding him, why didn't they bowl short, get him to fetch it and like wide. That's post fact, right? Like in the moment you're in the heat of the battle and this guy is just hitting everything for six. Um, but it was just an incredible display of hand-eye coordination, of courage. I mean, he had cramp, I think. I don't think he had anything more than
no,
cramp.
just cramps. Yeah,
Um, it was it was insane, and it was a display of how not to bat. Like if you did that as a 5-year-old,
yeah,
the coach would be sending you for lots of laps around the ground because that is not how you play cricket.
yeah,
But to score a double hundred, Ashwin, a double hundred in a chase out of 290,
yeah.
292 or whatever. Pat Cummins, for context, got 12 or 48 and he
And
put a
12
great
of
tweet out there.
68.
68.
But spare a
Obviously, I don't
thought.
even have the.
Let's spare a thought and give him credit for that knock, right? On paper, you look at a knock where a number 9 batsman makes 12 of 68, and you think, what the on earth was going on? But none of Maxwell's shots would have mattered if Afghanistan picked up the other 3 wickets, right, on the other end.
Yeah.
And Pat Cummins was the reason they couldn't. And so full. I mean, it was Jack Leach-esque, right? I mean, if you're drawing the parallels to Ben Stokes, it was a critical role that he had to survive 68 deliveries and just keep making sure Maxwell got enough strike.
And he put a great tweet out there which said that I'm glad Maxi played his role. Thank you, Maxi, for playing a role and all. Yeah, but I mean, it put them through to the semi-finals, and what a way to do that! It was Afghanistan will be disappointed.
Yeah.
They had their chance,
Yep.
right? And a win over Australia would have given them a realistic shot, I think, at at a semi-final berth, which would have been an unbelievable result for that team,
For sure.
given everything that's gone on around the team off the field as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can look now and say the 2 points, they would still have been a little short of New Zealand, but having those points going in would have changed their approach against South Africa, would have changed the amount of pressure New Zealand felt against Sri Lanka. I mean, it would have changed everything. You would still say, by the way, leaving this World Cup after having only ever won one, I think, World Cup game in their history against Scotland, to leave this World Cup with 4 wins and just a near miss against Australia. But to be clear, the wins, in addition to the Dutch, were Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and England. I mean, phenomenal. You ended in cemented a Champions Trophy spot, as Sri Lanka didn't get one. Bangladesh and England just about snuck through, and Afghanistan absolutely rock solid. So great World Cup, good for them. Sad loss. Credit to Maxwell, but sad loss to see Afghanistan leave. But a fantastic World Cup in totality.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the biggest losers of this World Cup obviously were England.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest winners of this World Cup were Afghanistan. I mean, other than the teams that didn't have made the
other than the 4 teams who are still fighting for it.
We actually win the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think they won more than a few games. They won a few hearts as well with the way they played. There's a lovely moment with Irfan Pathan and Rashid Khan after the England game. And I mean, just there's a bit of joy in their cricket, which is nice. Right?
Yeah, totally agree. And so, DJ, I want to talk quickly about the India game. But let me just ask you, looking at the 4 semi-finalists, right? There's a little bit of symmetry here. In fourth spot is New Zealand, and they lost to the top-ranked team, India, the second-ranked team, South Africa, and the third-ranked team, Australia, in addition to the loss to Pakistan by DLS. In third spot is Australia, and their only 2 losses were the first 2 losses were against India and South Africa. And then in top spot second spot is South Africa. Their only major loss was against India, plus of course the Dutch, which was kind of crazy when you think about that now in hindsight. So looking at Australia then really quickly, cricket is a momentum sport, right? India and South Africa were their first 2 games, arguably on paper now you look and say the toughest 2 games, 2 pretty big losses, and then 7 in a row. I mean, how good is that Aussie camp feeling right now, despite needing maxi heroics to get through, despite, different players stepping up? You can't really point at one player. Warner's got a century, Travis has got a century, Mitch Marsh scored a huge century, Maxwell scored a double. I mean, that's a good-looking side now, right?
They're going to believe, right?
Yeah.
You've got Zampa stepped up, Maxi stepped up, Marsh is scoring runs, Warner's got runs, Travis Head has got runs. Only Smith and Marnus haven't done anything, right?
Yeah, so this is the question then. With
Smith had some vertigo as well.
Correct. So, but Smith is back and had a decent last game. But with Maxi coming back in, he missed the last group stage game off of his injury, of his cramps or whatever it was. With Maxi coming back in, who misses out? Is it Marnus, or is it? I guess Stoinis is the only other person who could potentially miss out. What do you do if you're Australia and you're needing to? Because now with Mitch Marsh cementing a spot, you're likely not going to play or mess around with Travis Head. Smith got runs under as well. It has to be Marnus or Stoinis, right?
Yeah, and I think Marnus hasn't done enough to just merit a spot as a batter. Like Stoinis can bowl. He was actually one of the architects of their revival in that game, the third game that they played. I don't remember who it was against, but Stoinis took wickets in that game, and they were really down because they'd lost the first 2 games.
Yeah.
They'd had a horrible time against South Africa in the field, dropping catches left, right, and center. And then I remember the Hulk came in and lifted them as well.
Yeah.
I don't think Marnus has that effect on a game.
Is Marnus half decent as a cricketer unless he's coming on as a concussion sub? Like, is that what Australia needs? Is somebody to get concussed and then Marnus comes in and then he lifts the team?
Well, Maxi tried, right? But he should be okay.
Yeah.
He should be okay. No, I think they'd want the options. Eden Gardens is going to be a decent pitch to bat on.
Yeah.
You don't need a pure batter. You probably need a bit more variety in the bowling. So I'd go for Stoinis rather than just a pure batter in Marnus. I don't think he adds that much to that lineup that's already in cracking form, right? Like, I mean, he's the only one who hasn't got 100 along with Smith probably in that top 6.
All right, DJ, let's take a really quick break. We will come back, talk a little bit about Team India, and then finish up our preview of the semi-finals as we have 2 days off from ODI cricket. This is the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button like DJ just said. If you're listening anywhere else, leave us a review. It's always fun to see nice 5-star reviews come in from on iTunes, Spotify, etc. And you can always reach us on any social medias at One Tip One Hand. I did the plug mid episode, DJ, so people don't have to listen to the end to
Yeah,
know.
and we got a really nice comment as well on Instagram recently, right?
Nice.
Where someone said that we make their Monday commute
Love it.
bearable.
That is
So
great. I love to hear that. That's what we're here for. All right, DJ. I mean, a lot happened this week, right? To be honest, Sri Lanka, all sorts of stuff, and maybe we'll talk about it after the World Cup's ended. But they lost their game, and then they've been suspended now by the ICC. But they missed out on Champions Trophy qualification, as did the Netherlands. We talked about Afghanistan, Australia. England ended up winning their last two games by pretty large margins. Now, one of them was Netherlands, the other was Pakistan. So they'll leave with at least a little momentum on their belt. Let me quickly ask you, if you're England, what do you do? And I actually think they've just announced squads for their next series. I didn't actually have a chance to look at it, but it doesn't look like they're leaning in. Like Butler has kept his captaincy for now, but almost the entire rest of the squad is pretty different. What's the thinking in the England management coming off of their worst World Cup in a while?
I think they're going to the West Indies, right?
Yeah.
I think
And sorry, so just to go through Butler. Yeah, in addition to Butler, you have Brook, Curran, Livingston, Atkinson, and Kars. Those are the 5 or 6 players who've been retained. And again, Atkinson, Livingston, Kars didn't actually play that many games in the World Cup. So it looks like they're choosing to go a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's you need to, right? I don't know where they finished. They finished 8th.
They finished 7th, I guess it would be.
7. Yeah, but they were bottom
just
of the
ahead of
table for
Bangladesh.
a really long time.
Yep.
They're bottom of the table for a really long time. And as defending champions, they've had an absolute shocker. And it was an aging squad. We knew that. You had the likes of Moeen Ali in there. You had Jason Roy, who didn't make the squad. You had David Willey, who's now retired.
Mm-hmm.
You had Topley, who's injured. So I think Archer's injured again. He's got his elbow isn't in great shape. So you have to go down a different path. And I don't think these are bad players. And I've never thought these are bad players. They just won the T20 World Cup last year, right? So they've had a bad time. And they've acknowledged that, yes, now they can't stick with the same tried and tested formula of having experienced players. Ben Stokes' knees are probably in pretty bad shape. I don't know whether he's officially retired from ODI cricket, but he must be pretty upset that his last act in ODI cricket won't be uh, memorable, really. Yeah, not a big deal. I think you have to make the changes when the time comes, and they've done that.
Yeah, I think well said. It'll be disappointing, but it'll be interesting. I mean, England is a force in world cricket, so it'll be very interesting to see where they go from here. Right, DJ. Let's then talk about India versus Netherlands, and India and where we go from here before we do a quick preview of the semifinals. And we've been a little all over the place because I've tried to rein in all the excitement and all the thoughts. So, I mean, not a huge surprise in the game, but nice to see a couple of key things, right? The first I'll say is our middle order continuing to fire. Now, they've had a good World Cup. Rahul's had an objectively great World Cup. Iyer has had a really good World Cup. But to see number 4 and 5 both get centuries on a day, your top 3 all get half centuries. I mean, yes, it's against the bottom-ranked side in the World Cup, the Netherlands. Still pretty good. And then, let's talk about the batting first, because then there was also some fun that happened with the bowlers. But thoughts on the batting performance today to make 410?
I mean, Chinnaswamy, man.
Yeah.
It's the home ground for the RCB. Is probably the best batting surface in India.
Yeah.
This one of the smaller grounds. It's always going to be a place where the batters are going to do well. I mean, it's not a place to use your bowling booster, really. But, like one of the 3 podcasts.
Yeah, which one of us did that? It certainly wasn't me. Although, to be fair, I used my bowling booster, I think, against South Africa, Bangladesh, and it was equally bad at the Wankhede, which is also not a great place to use it. But
yeah. No, but it was, I mean, I think this was a long expected lines. Once India batted first, I think 350 plus was always going to be on the cards. And they went off like a train again with Rohit just doing his thing. And Kohli motored along for 50. Gill missed out a little bit. I guess he'd be a bit disappointed. But then Rahul, at one point, didn't look like Shreyas is going to leave him enough balls to get the 100.
62 ball century.
6 and 6, and that's the end of it. So, fantastic knock. Second World Cup 100 for KL. Clearly, his sessions with Sunil Shetty have paid off.
And let's talk quickly about number 4. Like I think the last time a number 4 got a century for India in a World Cup was Yuvraj. I think
Wow.
it would be true.
Because last time it was Vijay Shankar, and then Pant,
No
and
comment.
then Rahul. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, good to see. It's a critical spot, right? Like with the top 3, or at least Rohit and Kohli doing as well as they have, he hasn't been needed all that much this World Cup. But when he shows up, I mean, he did walk in after just the 18th over today. So although the team started really well, he did walk in the 18th, and he had to bat through to the 50th, and he did. But it's a great knock.
Yeah, excellent knock. I mean, just before the
Yeah,
semi-finals, probably gives him quite a lot of confidence. He played well in the last game as well. Um, so nice to see him score. I think he's the third highest scorer for India at the moment,
yeah,
behind Kohli, Rohit. Um, he's had a decent World Cup, and but these pitches should suit him.
yeah.
They not a huge amount of pace or bounce in most of them. So yeah, good to see Shreyas do his thing and get the runs that the team clearly wanted him to get when they brought him back in the
Yes.
side,
Yep.
because he was injured as well. Remember, he was injured as well. He didn't do that well in a couple of games in the Asia Cup. So there were all these questions. Should Kishan play at 4? I thought Kishan should play at 4 to give
Hmm.
us a bit of left-handedness, but it really doesn't seem to have mattered.
Yeah.
Whether it's left hand, right hand, everything's just clicked for this team. And I know it sounds like I'm jinxing them, but it's just I've not seen the Indian team dominate so much ever.
Yeah. 9 out of 9, but massive margins of victory too, right? I think some of our biggest margins of victory ever have come in this World Cup, and
Yeah.
so couldn't agree more. That kind of brings me to the second question, which we've talked at length, not just during this World Cup, but for call it the 4 years preceding it, which is kind of team composition, right? And you can look back and say, Kohli sort of started the journey as skipper on wanting to play 5 core bowlers. Rohit has picked it up from there, and so again, you're going to this World Cup with the strength of number 4, 5, and Surya hasn't batted much at 6, unfortunately. But with Iyer at 4, Rahul at 5 looking good, you're still, it seems very clearly like they're going with the strategy to play 5 bowlers and 5 bowlers only. And so first, let me ask you, do you expect any change to the Shami, Siraj, Bumrah, Jadeja, Kuldeep bowling lineup? Nothing.
No.
Why would you change it, right, at this point? If they were gonna, they would have tried it today.
It's relentless, and I was surprised we played all of them today. I
Yeah.
was like, just wrap them up in cotton wool and leave them,
And
because
Dravid
give them
addressed
a
that. He
rest.
said there's been basically 6 days since our last game, almost a week, right? So he said they've gotten enough rest, and there's only 2 games left. They want to play full strength. So I actually respect that and value that. I wouldn't mess it. I wouldn't. What would you do if Shardul came in and picked up 4? Then you're just causing more confusion, and or Ashwin came in and picked up 3 and things like that. That just would have made it more complicated. Well, let me ask you about the decision Rohit made today. So first off, what is the expression? The wrong-footed in-swinging,
Deadly.
whatever it's deadly wrong-footed in-swinger. Virat picked up the ball today, got a wicket off of an absolute shocker of a delivery. Absolute shocker. I mean, not a wicket-taking delivery by any means. Down the leg side. Credit to Rahul for catching that one. And then we proceeded to. Shubman got the ball, and he brought me back a little to Viru, and maybe I'm drawing the parallel because it's an opening batter who bowls off spin, but it was fun to watch Shubman bowl. Then when Sky got the ball, his action reminded me of Bhaji. It was like a quality Bhaji action, and of course not great bowling. And then Rohit picked up the ball at the end, hat trick taker, by the way. Thank you very much. He's picked up a hat trick before, I think, for the Deccan Chargers.
IPL.
And yeah, and both Rohit and Kohli picked up wickets. How are you feeling about that? And we haven't bowled 9 bowlers in many years. It's the most any Indian team has ever bowled. Maybe any team has ever, but definitely any Indian men's or women's team has bowled. What is your take on that?
I like it. I
Okay.
think they should bowl more. I mean, I think not wanting to get out to Kohli is an ego thing for a lot of players.
For sure, yeah.
So you've got Quinton de Kock smashing it everywhere. Bring Kohli on and see what happens. Just mix it up.
Yeah, I mean, but objectively, none of them bowled great, right? Like all of them got tonked for a little
But
bit.
I think what they're doing is that they're trying to get some insurance for when, if somebody pulls up in the middle of a game.
Or if Siraj gets hit on the throat with a ball or something like that. Did you see that?
That was ridiculous. I mean, what a shocker in the field he had today.
Yeah, it was really
But again,
bad.
you can't blame them for not. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
for
But let's say that injury was more serious. I
yeah,
think that yeah. So
yeah. So Rohit, yeah, Rohit bowled, Surya Kumar bowled, Gill bowled. Um, there weren't many people left
yeah.
to
I
bowl. I
mean,
mean, Shreyas
basically,
bowled
Iyer,
today.
who can bowl leg spin, didn't bowl. And at one point, the jokes were flying on Twitter, which was like, who's going to pad up when Rahul gets the ball? Because at some point, it was looking like KL Rahul would also get to bowl. But yeah, why didn't they bowl Shreyas? You think just exhaustion from the long innings?
I think Bumrah was like, I want to go
Bumrah
home.
looked irritated, not actually irritated, but he just looked like he's like, listen, just give me the ball in the 30th.
Yeah,
I'm going to come finish
let me
it.
just finish it. Yeah,
Yeah,
and but it
yeah,
went on till the 47th over, right?
yeah,
And Shami didn't have the best day. Siraj had an okay day. It
yeah,
was okay. I mean, nothing to write home about, but yeah, it was fun for the crowd, right? That's been shouting for Kohli ko bowling though for the last
yeah,
three games, and
yeah.
there we had it finally in the last league game against the
So
Netherlands with not much at
what's
stake.
left then, right? He got his 49th century. He in a day where two other batters got centuries. He got a half century, and then all the talk is the wicket he got. I mean, what's next? Is Kohliko keeping though the next chant? Is Kohliko umpiring though the next chant
See,
after that? Where do we go from
I
here?
was thinking about this today because I was watching the game at home, and the moment Kohli gets out, right,
Yeah,
there's a noticeable drop in interest in the match for a few seconds. And
yeah,
I found this today because everyone in the house, and I've got a few people here, well, it's like, oh, Kohli's out.
yeah,
And it takes some time for that to sink in,
yeah.
for people to say, okay, now Rahul is in, fine, we'll continue to watch the game. But that interest that players like Sachin, Kohli, Gill bring to the game, and it's not to say that KL Rahul is a bad player or Iyer is a
Sure,
bad player, but just that presence and aura that these guys have,
sure. Yeah.
it's unbelievable. It's all about them when they're at the crease, right? And it's I mean, we'll be poorer for it when they stop playing the game.
I think. I mean, I'm also just intrigued that you put Gill in with that category already.
He will be, is
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I've been
yeah.
saying for a while,
Yeah.
right?
I don't disagree, but I think there's a big statement to say that already.
Yeah. But
But
there's a noticeable drop in intensity
yeah,
after he gets out for a few seconds before everybody readjusts to the idea that Kohli is gone, and
yeah,
we have to now watch the rest of the Indian team bat, which is
yeah,
fine. It's great fun to watch as well.
yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, it was quite noticeable today. I found it very amusing.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, for this game, then Kohli bowling is not likely to be a strategy, right? I think if he can, Rohit would like his five bowlers to cover 10 overs each. I think he has walked away saying, if let's say Quinton de Kock, or to your point, New Zealand first, but are smashing, and you need to change it up, and let's say spin is doing really well on a used Wankhede pitch, and you just need a different option. He now has a little bit of that belief that he has them, and that is worth a lot
If Kohli is
to
bowling in a semi-final of the World Cup, there's
yeah,
problems.
something's gone wrong. Either there's been an injury or it's been bad. Right. So let's talk about the semifinals then. Right. And I was thinking about this and I went back and looked at the numbers. India first plays New Zealand at the Wankhede. If you're Rohit, you're batting well enough. You've been in good form. Are you spending most of your day practicing this motion, which is how much of the Wankhede really comes down to the coin toss? Right. I mean, you look at the four matches that have happened so far. Three of them, the side batting first one huge, right? Wankhede, sorry, just to step back, is massively different day and night, right? Batting first versus having to bowl in with the dewy ball. But 200 South Africa won by 229 against England. South Africa then won by 149 against Bangladesh. And you can say South Africa's a better team batting first, but two of their games were in the Wankhede. India then beat Sri Lanka at the batting first by 302, right? That was the game where we couldn't redo the 50 all out, but we got close. And then Afghanistan, Australia, which we talked about, took a freakish once in a lifetime innings for the team batting second to win, but it was looking for a long time that the team batting first would win it, which was Afghanistan. I mean, how much is the toss going to matter? If the toss lands and New Zealand chooses to bat first, is India going to panic a little? And am I asking you questions that are triggering already a little?
A little bit, a little bit. Uh, so the ball moves under lights at the
Yeah,
Wankhede.
yeah,
New Zealand's best chance is to have us 5 for 3 again.
in the
they have
in the second innings, in the first innings.
in the second innings. In the first innings, it doesn't move because it's the day, right?
Correct. Yeah.
It moves under lights.
So if New Zealand gets 320 on the board and then gets to bowl under the lights, I mean, that's very tough, very, very tough. And arguably the same thing, right? If India bats first, makes 300 plus, and then gets Bumrah, Shami Siraj, you back us, absolutely. So
But
this is why
that
I'm
said,
like,
I think India backed themselves to chase.
yeah,
I think
true.
if
Yeah.
they did win the toss, they would, to make a point, pick to bowl first.
There's no way. There's no way at the Wankhede. I'm sorry. There's no chance.
It's due.
Yes,
Maxi is just
you have the
nothing. He
greatest
does
chaser
nothing.
in the history of ODI cricket, but I do not believe. I think if Rohit wins the toss, he's batting first.
What are the overall stats of the Wankhede?
I don't know. I just looked at the World Cup, but we can pull it. And if anybody is watching live on YouTube and has them handy,
so
send them in.
I remember a pretty important game that we won batting second, which was the World Cup final in 2011.
Sure.
But the due factor, if you can get through, so the point there is, if you get through the first 15, say 10 overs, and the ball stops swinging, that's your game.
Yeah.
So it's all about the first 15 overs. So Sri Lanka didn't survive the first 15 overs against India.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. It was done. It was like the game was over.
Yeah.
So I think the game is going to be the first 15 overs in the second innings. And if you can get through those relatively unscathed, maybe 1-2 wickets down, that's the end. India are just too strong as a team to worry that much about batting first and bowling first. They've got, and it sounds very jinxy, and I don't want to sound like
sure. Yeah.
But what have you seen? We won batting first, we won bowling first.
Yeah, I know. It has been a clinical performance so far, but that is knockout cricket for you, right? Rachid and Devon can come in, bat first, and each make centuries, and suddenly the pressure's on. And when the pressure's on, and we've been there. We've been 42 for 3, we've been 15 for 3, we've been 5 for 3, and then we were 2 for 3 as early as the first match of this tournament, right? So, or as recently as the first match of this tournament. So, and we're actually getting comment in from Bharat, saying the highest. Go ahead.
That sounds very odd. That the highest chase at the Wankhede is 290.
Yeah, I don't have the live stats to be able to validate that, but we believe it, and that's crazy, right? That just suggests how difficult it is to chase at the Wankhede.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If there's
anyway,
it depends on if there's no dew as well.
Yeah.
But we're not worried about the spinners, because the spinners are Rachin and Mitchell, who both of them have been smashed everywhere.
They might play Ish. Ish has played a game, but they probably won't. But all right. And then the second semi-final, DJ, South Africa versus Australia at the Eden Gardens. South Africa, arguably the better side throughout the tournament, maybe less consistent against the Netherlands. But then Australia on a roll, on an absolute roll.
Yeah.
And still got 91 for 7 against Afghanistan. So both teams have shown their vulnerabilities, but both have had excellent tournaments. What are you predicting? What are you projecting happens there?
I think Australia are going to do it again. Sorry, South African fans.
Yeah.
But they just look more secure, and that innings from Maxi just gives them the belief that they can win from anywhere.
Yeah.
And they've built up in the right way, like, as opposed to New Zealand that have scraped through. One in the beginning, lost I don't know how many, they lost 5 in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they're coming back, right? So
yeah. So I don't know. I think we've lost a lot against New Zealand as well while they've chased. I remember innings by Tom Latham and others. I think they chased better than us. So I suspect we're going to try and bat second, chase the runs down. And again, Eden, I think Australia are too strong overall, in too much form overall, and that sets up an India versus Australia final at the largest, I guess, crowd capacity in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I'm going a slightly different direction. I'm saying South Africa will do it this time. I think they've shown the signs of being ready to shed the choker tag. I think, interestingly, Eden historically I would have said is a spinner's wicket, which Jadeja picked up a 5 for earlier in the tournament, but let's remember Shaheen and Wasim got wickets there. I think Paul Van Meekeren got wickets there, if I'm not mistaken. Like, the quicks have gotten wickets there. And then you look at Rabada, Coetzee, Janssen will be back, Ngidi, Pekto Kwayo got some, got some game time under his belt too as a backup option if needed. So for me, I think South Africa's quicks will do it. I don't think Australia has looked as settled as we think. I think their seven wins in a row is worth it, no question. It is worth a lot. However, they've relied on a different player each time. Some of their stalwarts haven't really showed up. So I think it's going to be a great match, but I think South Africa is going to do it. And what about India, New Zealand? Obviously, we're both going to predict India because we're not going to be those people, right? But how do you think the match is going to go down? Is it going to be fairly typical? Rohit, Kohli, and Shami going to get it done for us?
Yeah. Or if not, somebody else will turn up. Jadeja's got a 5-4. Kuldeep's got wickets. I'm actually still distracted by the Wankhede Stadium stats, I have to say. So the match is one, batting second is 40. It's pretty even split overall.
Okay.
27 games, 13 games won, batting second.
Okay.
51% batting first.
But Bharat has written in again saying the highest successful run chase at the Wankhede ever was by Australia versus Afghanistan earlier this week. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. I can't believe the thought that they would not get 1 runs on the board in a semi-final at Wankhede. So will be very, very interesting. So DJ, you're calling an India Australia final. I'm calling an India South Africa final. It's going to be exciting.
And who's going to win the final?
I mean, I'm not. Don't ask me to say that. I've said it already. Of course, we want. I mean, is Gill? The question for me is: do we get to see Gill carry Kohli on his shoulders for lap of honor at the
Narendra Modi Stadium? I mean, this is again putting the cart before the horse. But 20 years on from that final at the Wanderers.
Yeah.
20 years on from that. There's so many scars.
Too many scars. Exactly. I guess 40 years from the India's first ever World Cup victory. 20 from the Wanderers and 12 from MS Dhoni. Finishes it off in style. Ravi Shastri will probably be in the commentary box for the final. All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay. We got another important week.
We might actually just stop doing the podcast if India crash out again in the semis.
I mean, I can see it go.
If we stop, that's the reason.
Either way, right? If India crash out, we might stop. If India win, we might stop because that's it. That's the pinnacle. This has been a lot of fun. DJ, thank you for reliving the final week of the group stage with me. It's been a great time. It has been, aside from fantasy cricket, I think for me has been a really fun World Cup. I've really enjoyed it. And to your point, for those of our other listeners who are in North America time zones with me, hopefully you start managing your sleep schedule. It's a little like jet lag. Got to get used to doing the middle of the night ones for the semis and the final to wrap up this World Cup. Right, DJ, Fantasy League cricket very quickly. I am struggling a little bit in our Edges and Sledges fan league, so I've dropped down to the 20th spot. You are just ahead of me in 19th with only 120 odd points. So you and me will be racing to the finish, but I think you have more boosters left than I do.
I have 2 boosters left only.
I just have the 1, and I have the triple captain, which is not actually that much.
So I have the double team.
Yeah, I've used that.
And
already.
The unlimited changes, so...
Yeah, so you're gonna cap out at the end. Varun is up ahead of us in 11th, but again, only 500 odd points ahead of you. So it's getting competitive. In the lead at the end of the group stage is a team called Snowstalker, who actually came really good today to the point you were making. Picked 5 Indian batters and doubled all batters. So Virat, Shreyas, Rohit, Shubman, and Surya. Didn't pick Rahul, but the other 4 all got run. So Snowstalker, congratulations, finishing on the top. Mivin Viru 11. Finished second, another big day for Indian batters. And Pandemic Fixers finished in third, went triple captain on Virat today.
Ooh, nice.
So decent finish.
Wickets also, no?
Wicket also. But it's been a lot of fun. Couple games left. Thank you very, very much for listening in. If you've listened on YouTube, I'm wishing everybody again a very happy Diwali. It's been in a good World Cup. Great way to culminate the wrapping up of the group stage. We'll be back next week after the World Cup final has completed. And we won't know what to do with ourselves for a little bit till the regular cricket calendar starts all over. DJ, thanks for joining. This has been the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. Thank you to everybody for listening. We will see you next week after the World Cup final.
Fingers crossed.